Hi, I'm Dr. Baxter Montgomery. I'm a cardiologist and cardiac electrophysiologist here in Houston, Texas. 13 years ago, we started integrating our clinical treatment with plant-based nutrition. So the heart here is in congestive heart failure, beating around 20 to 24%. Here it's beating about 50%. Hi, I'm Dr. Baxter Montgomery. I'm a cardiologist and cardiac electrophysiologist here in Houston, Texas. 13 surgery, could have needed a bypass surgery, she may have needed a defibrillator treatment, she may have even nutrition. Then placed on the heart here is in congestive heart failure. But instead of that, beating around 20 to 24%. Here it's beating about 50%. And hi, I'm Dr. Baxter Montgomery. I'm a cardiologist and cardiac electrophysiologist. Despite how sick you are, surgery individuals very treatment. In fact, maybe treated two different parts on the heart here as a congestive heart. But instead of that, being around 20 to 24%, here is being around 50%.
We haven't gotten into the most fundamental aspect of our health, which is how we take care of the human brain. And it's as simple as plant-based food, fresh air, sunshine, and water.
So there's a huge obsession with protein, and a lot of this has to do with the education of the nutrition and medical community, or perhaps miseducation, if you will, and protein is emphasized. The Western society, as with other societies, animal protein is a major component of what people eat. When I was growing up, you didn't have a meal if there was not, dead animal flesh on the table. Animal protein can trigger inflammation. It has adverse effects on the kidney. It can have adverse effects on the blood vessels, adverse effects on the heart. You get more than enough protein from plant-based foods. The most important nutrient, in my opinion, is water. I mean, the healthy human body in its healthy state is about 70-75% water. I'll pose a question. I said, well, if you were left on an island and deserted for just, let's say 25 days, you can have 25 days worth of baked chicken, or you have 25 days of water. You can't have both, one or the other. And almost invariably, people choose the water because they know that they can't survive 25 days without water. As much as we emphasize eating the proper food, which starts and ends with a plant-based diet, it's also important to get fresh air and sunshine on a regular basis. So at least a couple of hours. Man-made rainbows. Oh, wow. Another patient who's currently in her mid-90s came to see us at the age of 89, and at that time she was taking about 22 medications, including about 40 units of insulin twice a day. And she'd been on insulin for 40 years. We put her on a raw detox, and we got off the insulin within a couple of days of her being on the raw detox. She's down to taking no medication the last I've seen, and she hardly has to come and see us as a patient. She's in her mid-90s now. I came into this arena as a traditional doctor, doing procedures and putting them on the optimal medications. However, when I made this discovery for my own health and then subsequently for my patients, I made a major change. As far as I know, we're the only facility in the United States that has an on-site plant-based restaurant that integrates it all in one. If I'm a physician who likes steak and eggs, it would be very difficult for me to counsel and aggressively counsel a patient away from eating these foods. This is our commercial kitchen, our restaurant, and the medical facility of the future will have a designated restaurant kitchen that functions not only from a culinary standpoint, but also from a scientific standpoint. We see individuals in severe congestive heart failure, which is often thought of as a death sentence. But when they make fundamental changes in the way they eat, they go from a death sentence to a life sentence. And that's an important differential.
I'm Patricia Wiggins, and this is my husband, Carl. He's Dr. Montgomery's patient. In this 3-week time, he's eliminated about 40 pounds of fluid from his body, and his mental clarity is much better, and he's now walking without his cane. When we came in, he could barely walk with the cane, and he had to hold on to me or to the wall or something to steady himself.
So what you can see here is a model of an artery, and there's several slices here. And when someone consumes a diet high in saturated fat, And saturated fat, by the way, is code word for animal protein fat. If you then start to look anywhere an artery has this amount of disease, you're compromising blood flow to that organ. And if a thin cord ruptures, that's what leads to a heart attack. And so this predisposed to heart disease. This is the type of lesion that would be considered for a stent placement or for bypass surgery. However, you can reverse this type of disease with optimal plant-based nutrition. It was that severe.
He wanted to make food our medicine and not pharmaceuticals. The added bonus is the fact that he is an MD, he is a cardiologist, he does know that part of medicine, and he's not against it if it's needed.
So if you were to look at all of the healthcare facilities here, all the hospitals, all the emergency rooms in this expansive medical center, and we were to walk around and search for one patient who was suffering from protein deficiency, we'd be challenged to find one. In regards to the prevalence of heart disease among different ethnic groups, the CDC clearly shows that African American women have the most heart disease in terms of prevalence and morbidity and mortality from heart disease. Next to them would be African American men. More women die from heart disease than men in general, and then more African American women die from heart disease than any other race, gender segment that we know of. Availability, convenience, these are all important things that I find, and I think it's going to make a difference the more we make the food available. People do not realize how delicious plant food is. At the end of the day, it's going to be the food that makes the difference. I have a lot of friends who are ethical vegans, and I applaud you. When I came into eating plant-based, I wasn't aware of the horrors that happen to animals, and I think there's more messaging needs to come about with that. The other aspect of being ethical vegans is that we have to look at our own bodies, and we have to be ethical to ourselves first and foremost, because if we're not healthy, then we can't be a benefit to others, animals, etc. So I often tell my patients that the number one animal you want to be ethical to is yourself. So foods that are minimally processed, raw, you want a lot of live foods that has the water content is maintained. These are going to be some of the most healthy foods, and if it is cooked, you want to either dehydrate it at relatively low temperatures, boil or steam it. And these are some simple approaches that individuals can take to consume a diet that's not only healthy for the environment as a whole, but also healthy for your local environment, which is your body. If we can fundamentally change the way we eat, we can get rid of the need for so much expense and so much time and effort toward helping people get better, or I should say, helping people live with their illnesses. We can just simply change what they eat, we can help them reverse their conditions and live a healthier life.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Peterson, you can go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So you have the slides, right? That should come up? Or do I go?
No, you have it. You still have it on your screen. Remember, you have it open. You can share. Yes.
So I just put share first. Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
And then click on
the slides.
There are two of them, so either one is okay. I know this was the one we had ready. Yes, perfect.
Right.
Okay, so I hope that this, good morning to everyone. It's just a pleasure to be here, and especially in the island of my birth, Trinidad and Tobago. So I wanted to share through, I want to thank Dr. Claudette Mitchell for allowing us to, from Morgan State University, to share some information that's happening in the United States, where food is almost, as they're saying, food is now going to be looking at a way of helping to treat the illnesses, because most of the illnesses that are around the globe are basically the ones that are killing many people are the diseases that are lifestyle issues. And so we felt that it would be good to share just one of the areas, which is the #1 killer, is heart disease, to share with you one of the areas that we have been sharing information out to the community in Maryland, the Maryland area. Let me try to go to the next slide. Okay, so one of the issues that we're finding is that most of Americans are overweight. And the topic here, these are some slides that were put together. My husband made a presentation just recently on this. And so I wanted to share some of the information that can be helpful when we're dealing with heart disease. Many factors contribute to a person's weight, including the family history, genetics, environmental and community, and so forth. So you have a lot of information here on an average individual's blood pressure rises as their weight increases. And I know we don't have much time escalating overweight and obesity, and we're seeing that that's one of the areas that is very prevalent. Changes need to be made for healthier living and maintenance of health. Early prevention is very important, yeah. Contributors to weight gain. Of course, we talked about hereditary, age, lifestyle, gender, lifestyle practices, environment and community, personal information. It's just an area where we just wanted to make sure that the noise wasn't going further. So as we see here in America, obesity tends to run in families. The parents, the children follow what the parents provide for them to eat. And sometimes it gets out of control. And of course, we see what's going on with the lack of activity. So obesity is not just only solely genetic. And that's one of the major factors we're finding out about this heart disease issue. The body image, of course, some individuals' body image appear to be more vulnerable to, wanting to look good than others. And so some, of course, are lazy and are not able to, really to get around, or not realizing that their inactivity is causing the problem. So major contributor of postpartum depression is distorted by body image. Again, here's the social stress where people are saying you want to be the, Coca-Cola shape. 36, 26, 36, and that's not as easy as it seems. And most of us are not like that. So it's a difficult thing. So we talked about overweight again, body mass index, the body fat perception, basal metabolism, target the heart, and the running pace. What factors contribute to a healthy weight? Many factors, of course, are important for healthy weight. BMI is one of them, but it's not the only one that to look at. Recent studies on body weight over the course of a lifetime suggest 9 out of 10 men and 7 out of 10 women are going to become overweight. And as you see some of these pictures, it's disheartening, And as we move on. So sometimes as we think, personal caloric needs are determined. And since as a dietitian, we focus on calories and food, and we know that not all of the food we eat gives us the same kind of calories. So some of the foods we eat are higher in caloric intake based on their preparation. So the first law of thermodynamics states that the energy is always conserved. So the following diet equation can express this, like food energy equals your body mass return, and exercise, waste, and weight change. So what you put in simple terms, if you exercise or if you have more activity, that food will come into a balance of your body's intake and output. But if there is a deficiency, excess energy not burned as exercise or basal metabolism, then you will end up with weight gain, which leads to body fat. So here's another picture of it, overweight, obesity, and weight gain management. So energy in, and energy out will balance and your weight will remain the same. But if it goes the other way, where energy in is higher than the energy output, then weight gain occurs. And this is the simplest way to get it back to reverse, is to do the opposite, but it's not always as easy. All right. So the basics of the energy balance is that if your person takes in about 2,000 milligrams of kilocalories, and then they burn off that amount, 2,500 kilocalories are consumed. Therefore, then you will end up with losing weight, because 1 pound is about 3,500 kilocalories. So 1 pound of weight gain is that what occurs. So if you want to lose 1 pound, then the reverse, as I said before, would need to take place, which means that you would have to lose 500 calories a day for 1 week, and you will lose 3,500 calories. And those are in paper, writing on paper, but we know in real life, it's very difficult because there are other factors that are involved in weight loss and weight management. All right. The waist loss management principles continue. As we're saying, physical activity during weight loss serves in several ways. You want to improve appetite control and make unintentional overeating less desirable. So one of the things that we have found that's very helpful for that is in water drinking, intake of water. And I have worked as a dietitian with individuals through the years that just having them substitute water for juices, which has calories in it, can bring down someone's weight. We had one particular lady who lost 22 pounds in her specific time period that she wanted, basically because she exchanged water for the juices that she was drinking. But as I said here, food, the fifth principle, plan for events that produce stress. So sometimes things are there for us and we end up eating foods because we are stressed out. And most of the times when we're stressed out, we tend to eat foods that are higher in calories. So we don't go for the carrot sticks. We go for the French fries. We go for the, the high fat foods. So you want to do not turn to food when being stressed. One of the things that helps me a lot, because I am under quite a bit of stress, but it's not undue stress. It's stress that things that I do, is that I carry water a lot with me. So water, of course, has 0 calories. So I binge on the water. So as soon as things start getting a little bit, I say, where's my water? Where's my water? I start drinking the water and it helps to calm me down and so forth. It gives me a little more energy, but it doesn't give me calories. So that therefore that it would not tend to have me gain weight under the stresses. So we have stresses that comes to us and we need to learn to get triggers things that would trigger us not to go in the wrong direction of eating high fat or high caloric foods. This is just some more information. So of course, the principles we want to carry as we're moving along is principles of how we can maintain the weight that we want. First of all, one of the things that helps us to know how much we should weigh, we want to take our height, and if we're like, I would say 5 feet. For myself, I'm 5'1" or so. Then I would look to be 1,000 calories for that, and then how many pounds more that I would want to weigh. So if I want to weigh 120 pounds, then I would put the 1,000 calories and maybe 20, and I should be eating 1,200 calories a day. So weight loss principles. So here they are, 8 of them. 1, seek balance in all aspects of life. So keep successful weight balance, making behavior changes, personal desires. You want to be, for example, you want to try something that will be simple, like maybe walking. Swimming may not be something you can do all the time, but you can walk. We can walk every day in the mornings or evenings, depending on our schedule. Remain positive, whether you have not lost weight or not. One of the things we're finding out is we shouldn't be weighing every day, but I like to weigh at least once a week because I like to stay on my weight challenge. So muscle You see how much of the weight, body weight is? Muscle should be 45%, 3% essential fat, 12% non-essential stored fat, and then you have your bone and other areas. So it's important to understand how your body should function. If you're having too much of the one in the middle, that 3% around your waistline there, then that's trouble, because what happens is that fat covers the organs that are used to help keep us healthy. So the pancreas, the stomach, and the areas of the colon, not colon, but the intestines. Once they get messed up with too much fat around them, we're not able to, disease process occurs, inflammation begins. So it's like, here's some examples of various of extremes in weight and size. So the combination here, your body types. So some people are apple shaped, some are, you have the TAG. So you want to, for mine, I am both even body, hips and bust is about the same number, and the smaller in the waistline. Some people, they're a little bit heavier on the top and smaller at the bottom, reverse. Some people are what they call the pear shape, heavier at the bottom. But those kinds of things, ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph, those things they're basic. So what we want to do is to keep them controlled in the right way. Activity is one of the big things to cause that. So body composition, understanding your fatness and your weight. And so if you know that you are heavier on the hips, then you're going to have to do some walking. But that hourglass is heavier. More walking. If you have a lot of the heavy weight in the adipose tissue in that area, you're going to have to do some more weightlifting to burn off that fat and exchange it. So you have all of the areas here, assessing body fatness, body fat distribution. Okay. I was wondering, I had the other slide that I wanted to bring up to show, but I am not sure we might be able to do that. So one of the things then, like we were sharing in the field of dietetics, so I was just sharing you those slides that actually gives you a little area of some of the work that dietitians would have to do, dietitians, nutritionists, diet technicians. We have a lot of different licensing and preparation for these particular areas of service to the community. But once you're in that field where you actually are involved with food and nutrition, we're finding out that things are changing on the market quite a bit. And we're talking about frontiers to, the field of dietetics. So one of the things that I have found, Thomas Edison made a statement, and I wanted to share it with you, is that if the doctors of today are not involved with the nutritionists or nutrition in their practice, then the nutritionists of tomorrow will become the doctors of today. And we're seeing that's happening now. There's so much issues that have gone on in medicine where people are taking so many pharmaceutical ways of trying to deal with their health, that it has not really helped. In fact, people have become more, more ill. But if we look at food, because like Dr. Baxter in video in the beginning said, he said, food, when it comes down to the bottom line, food is really the issue. But we know that the environment and other things have a play on how we eat these foods or how we consume them, purchase them. So the main thing is that if we take the body as a temple that God has given us, our bodies, and it says here in 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20, know what you should be eating, then once we focus it on that, from that standpoint, we have a better outlook on how to take care of our bodies. And like he mentioned that you're an animal or human. So, but God made us and he gave us a diet plan back in Genesis 1:29. So those were the other slides I had. It did not come up, but Dr. Mitchell has it. And so she will share those with you. But it talked about Genesis 1:29, fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables. So if we eat those foods in the right combination, and we know after the flood, Genesis, when there were not a lot of vegetation, God allowed the consuming of meat, but meat was not part of the first original diet plan. And we found that the foods that are more healthy for us are foods that have an alkaline reaction in the body: fruits, vegetables, nuts, and grains, whereas meats and meat byproducts like cheese and those other things have an acid reaction in our systems when we try to digest them. And overeating of those foods, of course, end up with higher caloric intake. And if there's not enough exercise, the weight gains, and then we start building steps in our life that are it's not as easy to break. So habits, of course, takes about 3 weeks to start a habit. And if you start that habit in the right way, you continue on, like making sure you have the water. Water is key, like the doctor spoke about. If you get on an island and you have two things, water or fried chicken, take the water, because the water will have us live longer, since our bodies are close to 70% water. And we may not see it, but all of the reactions in our system needs water, H2O. So if we start off in the morning as a plan that I try to give and share with my clients, is that the first thing you want to do is hydrate your body, because you've rested through the night, 8 hours or less of sleep, as much as we would think. Most of us don't get 8 hours, but we should get at least 6 to 8. So some people may be less. But once we awaken, it's time for the body to start ingesting food. And before we put any caloric foods in there that gives calories, we want to take food that has no calories in our system, which is water. And I drink about 16 ounces to start off, and sometimes 32 ounces of water before I end up the breakfast. So as we said, breakfast means to break the fast, right? So we want to break that fast by eating foods that will be easily digested, so that it keeps us our energy levels up. So we would prefer for people to eat in the morning fruits, nuts, and grains, so that they can have a balanced diet. Eating the heavy fried foods and so forth in the morning it's really not the best because of the fat content. And then the next step would be making sure we stay hydrated throughout the day. So we need, if we weigh 120, 130 pounds, we need at least 8 glasses of water. So if you take 2 in the morning and you work through, then lunchtime, you get 2 glasses again, that's 4. And then in the afternoon, you repeat the same thing. You take 2 glasses of water in the afternoon, and then 2 in the evening. That's your 8 glasses of water. That's 8. Or if you use bottles, and the bottles is like 16 ounces. I don't push the bottles because we know of the situation with too much plastic that cannot be, recycled. Then we have a lot of that going on. So you can maybe get gallon things of water and then just put them in cups. So 8 cups is fine. So it says there that a little guide to give you something to take away is 5 to stay alive. So you need 5 cups just to stay alive. Water, we know, not coffee or tea, but water. You need 8 cups to hydrate. So many of us are not hydrated. We find ourselves dehydrated. We're not sure, but we are. But as soon as our lips start getting dry, or we start feeling lightheaded or so, just think about how much water have we taken in for the day. And then 10 cups to be rejuvenated. And when a person is rejuvenated, then they feel on top of the world. They're able to do the activities. The stress levels are reduced quite a bit. So water is one of the things that I push a lot in working with my clients, because most of the times when I ask them the question, they said they didn't remember drinking any water all day. And I've seen people and live with folks that sometimes have not taken any water in. And I get really nervous and said, here's a bottle, you got to drink some water. So that factor there alone can help us as we deal with the principles. And then, of course, eating foods that are from the land as grown. So you're eating the food just as it's grown, not in a package or in a box or in a bottle or a can. We need it as grown. So when we go to the market, and we have a lot of that in Trinidad, we have those markets where the food just lay out and looks so beautiful, so you want to eat those foods. Your eggplant, your vegetables that you have grown there. We know broccoli and cauliflower, and those things are are not grown there as such. And, people do eat them. But we have cabbage. Cabbage is one of the best foods. I lived in Trinidad just at USC teaching, my husband and I, for 5 years. And cabbage was our daily intake. I think the students would laugh at us. They say, why do they eat cabbage? Now, cabbage is the cheapest food that you can find in Trinidad. Cabbage and garlic and onions. And that's what we put our foods in. And we ate the purple cabbage or red and the white cabbage every day. Cut it up finely, made a beautiful rich salad, add our chickpeas in there or garbanzo beans or red beans. And after a while, they saw we weren't sick and we weren't staying home at all, and said something to this food, this cabbage. But the cabbage has the cruciferous vegetable. It has those phytonutrients that are very essential to keeping us strong and healthy and boosting our immune system, so that it prevents us from having colds and so forth, the things that come around us. And now that we have the virus, we're living with it now, we have to be so careful. So we want to make sure, as I close out, that we're eating foods that are healthy for us. The frontier area now in the US is looking at food as medicine. Before we used to say, looking food as medicine. Now we're looking at taking our medicine. Our medicine should be our food instead of the drugs. And we had a real good video I wanted to share too, was God's Pharmacy, where some of these foods that we eat can help us, like carrots will help our eyes, grapes will help our heart. Just the way the foods have been made and how they are put together by God can show how healthy that we can be. So after we're concerned about food is a medicine area. We have found in the frontier now that many people are calling for dietitians to come and help them, in taking care of their health. So we want to encourage people as we're going through this week of business, that to get on to the profession of nutrition and dietetics. Start off with the 4-year degree. We have that program at USC. And you can go on into getting your master's in public health or your master's in the area of nutrition, or you can join in with business. Food is now becoming a big area. So if you like cooking, you can do cooking. We have programs called culinary science instead of culinary arts. Called culinary arts, where people was just cooking for the fun of cooking and for people's taste. We're looking at culinary science as one of the frontier courses that are coming out now. Culinary science is taking the actual foods and helping to prepare them to protect people against the diseases. So I wanted to share that video with Dr. Baxter Montgomery. He actually has a restaurant with his practice. And so that when you're preparing a meal for the patient, it's based on if they have diabetes. We're not going to give them a lot of starchy foods, right? Starchy vegetables. We will give them more of the wet green vegetables. So we are saying now that let's take the food and make food be our medicine. I'm closing out now. Any questions that you may have? I just was very happy to and enjoyed sharing some of this information, that if you get into the nutrition profession, you are going to be in a profession that will take you to many heights. So I have had a restaurant in Columbia, Maryland, some years ago, where I actually started this whole concept of food, like taking the food to be the medicine. We had patients who came in and picked up their meals. If they were overweight, we gave them low-fat foods. If they had diabetes, they had different foods that were more vegetable-based instead of starchy-based, and reducing fats. And then we had regular patients who came in from work every day, and they enjoyed staying on the lunch plan. It was a lunch. It was called a different kind of lunch serving. So now that's back in the 90s. So now it's being run by so many different places. Now we have people who have this type of restaurant service available. So in Trinidad, I know a lot of people, they do the doubles and so forth. And, you can do that once in a while, but to eat it every day may not be the best thing if you're not working out and getting that fat out of the body. So again, as we close, I want to say John 3:2, which is Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper in health, even as your soul prospers. So we want to make sure we have a balance, that we ask in God to show us the direction as to what particular profession we should get into, and then how we take care of our bodies. So I just want to close out a little early, a few minutes, so that we can have some questions if possible, or any comments. I know Dr. Mitchell is trying to get here. I see Fiona Henry and Miss Legal. So thank you so much, and God's blessings on you as you go through this week of Frontiers in Dietetics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peterson. Indeed, it's happy to have you. I know you wanted to show a video. I do have the link for it. Pardon me, I was just running across from the nursing session to facilitate
We showed
you.
it. Yeah, we showed it in the beginning.
Okay, would you like to show it again, or is there anything else you would like to show particularly?
No, because Dr. Mitchell has the other thing I wanted to share, because I'm finishing at 11, she told me, and it's 8 minutes.
Okay, you have some extra time. It's okay. I know she sent a video. I don't know. She sent me something else. I don't know if it's the same one. Can you confirm with me? Let me just tell you what I'm
Send what it, because we did not get the video. We did not get the PowerPoint. So
you did.
had.
Okay.
So I had to use the PowerPoint that I had that came up. I sent it to her, but she wasn't available.
Okay, so what we can do is probably reference a couple things on your PowerPoint, because she sent it to me, so I can facilitate it.
So could you put it up, and I can run through it? Yeah.
Excellent. Can you stop sharing your screen? Just hover over your screen, look for stop share.
Yes, there we go. Yes. All right, just bring up the slides, and then we can. I'll just tell you next. This is the slide. So this slide presentation is the one I wanted to show. It covers the food as medicine concept.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so let me just bring it up now. I'm opening up the slides. Yes, it's right in front of me. And you'll let me know if this is exactly what you had in mind, because she sent it to me. You know how things happen? She had her power outage.
Yes,
okay.
I understand. Yeah, okay. This is it. Food as
medicine.
Oh,
fantastic. Okay.
So it's talking about those phytochemicals. So
okay, so you can guide me along, and I'll follow along with you.
All right, the next slide. Okay, so we want to create the awareness of the role of plant-based nutrition. That's what I wanted to share, how it has a prevention in these various diseases: cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. We're going to look at LDL cholesterol, how that can be lowered, because again, that's part of the heart disease issue that we're facing in America and all over the world. Next slide. We keep going. So let's get to the picture. We did the Baxter Montgomery presentation. So here it is, 2,500 years ago. We have Hippocrates, and we call him a star. He was one of the star witnesses. Let food be your medicine. He started off that way, but of course we ran into difficulty, and it's kind of changed, but it's coming back. So now keep going. All right. So where are these phytonutrients found? And here they are in all plant-based foods, the impact on diabetes and other diseases. Here we go. Next slide. Where are they found? They're found only, these phytochemicals are found only in plant foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, and herbs. Yeah. Next. And you see the beautiful picture. Phytochemicals, they are awesome. They provide natural color and flavor to plants, and they also provide a defense system for the plants. So the plants are protected by these phytochemicals, and it also protects us as humans. So God is really awesome. It really should be saying, because he's the one created it. Next slide. Keep going. No, the Western diet, and that's where we are. We're in the Western society. Keep going with it, because the inside of the slide will be coming in. So the Western diets are typically low in phytochemicals. Just keep going with the slide. Keep pressing. Yeah, the low intake of fruits and vegetables in the diet, and the high intake, see, of all the sodas, the candy, the junk, the heavy meats. Of course, these different companies or manufacturers that provide fast food, and then the white flour products, instead of eating foods that are from the land, beans, tofu, grains, and so forth. Next slide. Keep going. So color means protection. So the outer side of the food, the outer leaves of the vegetables, the skins of the fruits, the dark skins of nuts, and then of course the seed coat of legumes is called anthocyanins. extra virgin versus refined olive oil. These are the ones that we need to be focusing on. It means protection for us. Next slide. Whole grains versus refined grains. Now, so this is a slide I want you all to remember, and we want to look at whole grains are better. Why should we be eating more foods? We should be eating them as near as possible to how God made it. So how it came out the ground, you know, as a plant, it doesn't have a face or anything like that. As you see, it's just fruits and vegetables. It's better for our health. And that's where the phytochemicals are found in these foods. And the darker the color of the food is, the richer the phytonutrients. Keep going. Genesis 1:29, as I was sharing earlier, Genesis 1:29 is fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables made for humans. Now remember in Daniel 1:8, he refused to eat the king's meat and wine. Those foods were the Western style food that I just showed you, and a lot of high fat, high sugar. And the first research that was ever done way back in God's day is Daniel 1:12 with the 10-day diet. And so within 10 days, we should see a change if we increase the fruits and vegetables. Father of medicine, of course, is Hippocrates. So continue on, sorry. So as you see, apples, and we may not get a lot, but I think in Trinidad, I see a lot of apples. It might be a little bit more expensive, but you have substitutes for the apples. I don't know if they still have that apple. It's like an apple, but it has the fibers in it. Anyway, apples contain powerful antioxidants. And so they also can help lower cholesterol and reduces tumors before they get started to grow. Next slide. So apple a day keeps the doctor away. Pomegranate. So I don't know if you get that down there in Trinidad, but a lot of juices are available. I see pomegranate juice, and this is for protection against cancer, especially prostate. Next slide. Avocado. Now we know you have that in season. So lots of avocado. Or what is the regular name in Trinidad? It's called avocado, but Zabuca. So I remember Zabuca. Yeah, somebody just put it in and it's spelled Z-A-B-O-C, Zabuca. Phytochemicals from this avocado selectively induce the cell arrest. So it cuts the cell, the arresting of the cells before they even start growing. So it inhibits the tumor growth. It induces apoptosis, which is cell death in precancers and cancer cells. So the phytochemicals from avocado fruits target the multiple signaling pathways. So we need to eat avocado every day. It does not have any cholesterol. When I went to try that, people kept thinking avocados have cholesterol. No, only animal foods have cholesterol. So avocados are rich sauce. I call it God's butter. Just crush it up and spread it on bread. It's like God's butter and it tastes so very good. Next slide. What does all this mean to the phytochemicals? What do they do for us? They protect us, our bodies, from disease. So I'm asking each one of us to be a star witness, like how God has put the protection in these plants. Let us use these things in our bodies so that we can be star witnesses for him. Next slide. Because a star witness is the one that gets the case solved, and they win the case depending on what the situation is. So vegetables and fruits, what do? They reduce the risk of cancer. And they're saying here, which cancers? And here they are, a whole bunch of them. Stomach, colon, mouth, esophagus, pancreas, breast, cervix, bladder, ovarian, and lung. So all relating to you continue consuming fruits and vegetables. Next slide. How much should we consume in a day? Here they're saying, if we look at this slide, relative risk of breast cancer, especially, if we eat 4 to 5 servings of vegetables a day, and of course, with our exercise and so forth, our cancer risk goes all the way down. See the green? We're way down, less than 50%. If we only eat 2 servings a day, because some people say, well, I have a banana for breakfast and, something in the afternoon, some vegetable. If that's all they have, the risk is still high. The cancer risk for breast cancer is very high with just 2. So 6 servings of fruits a day, the risk is not as good as if we have fruits and vegetables, as we see there, the green one. The green donates that we should eat combinations. So not just only a pile of fruits, because sometimes while I was there, people ate 10 and 15 mangoes. And I said, no, you need to eat less. But it's interesting that one food is not the only way. We need the combinations. Next slide. Garlic and cancer. See so many relationships to eating these foods. And as I mentioned before, we ate a lot of garlic there and do so now. And it reduces stomach cancer and colorectal cancer. As you look on the slide, the cohort shows that it converts a direct inverse relationship. Those who ate less had higher risk for cancer, both stomach and colorectal. All right, next slide. All right, synergism, which means that a combination of foods is how we need to eat, not just only the fruits, because we love fruits, back at home, but we want to eat fruits and vegetables, not at the same time all the time, but make sure during the day. So combination of broccoli and tomatoes reduce the tumor growth as opposed to just eating the food alone. So just only eating broccoli alone was not going to do it. So we need fruits, nuts, and grains, vegetables again. Next slide. The variety is the key. And there are 2,500 phytochemicals that we have found that in a lot of these foods. So they're just beginning to release. I have a list on there, but there are so many that has not been found, that haven't been discovered. They're there, but man has not been able to discover them because they're not eating a lot of them. So we're looking again, all of these foods are shown as grown. So they're not in any packages, because that's where you have a lot of waste. One of the things I like to do is if I talk to individuals, when I ask them, I don't ask them how much they eat all the time, I do, but I said, how much is your trash? What do you throw out? What does your trash bag looks like, or trash can? And if it has boxes of pizza and cans of this, then we know the kinds of foods that's being eaten in the home. So we want people to have less trash. When they eat these kinds of foods, you eat them all, and your trash bag, you have very little things to throw out, because they are from the land and they're not packaged in any way except, and some of the skins from these vegetables and so can form a compost that you can put out in your garden to grow. So there's a whole recycling event taking place, and less of the ecosystem, because that's another focus on Frontiers of Nutrition. They're looking at how can we best reduce the things that are going on that's causing our planet, to be destroyed, and with all of the waste that we have. All right, next slide. Quercetin, this is lowers blood pressure, and it's found in not only these foods, but in celery. I've been learning to eat a lot of celery. Adults with stage 1 hypertension was reduced for those who ate the foods that are rich in quercetin. The blood pressure went down 7 points, both systolic and diastolic 5 millimeters of mercury. So it's important for us to eat most of these, the blueberries especially. Next slide. All right, grape juice. A lot of us, a lot of people are drinking wine and so forth, and they said, oh, I'm getting all of my resveratrol, which is the phytonutrient, but it comes from the grapes, not from the wine. The wine, that part of the alcohol or the fermentation of it is not really the best. We need it from the fruit itself, the grape juice. And just a half a cup or a cup a day is all that we would need if we're looking at lowering our total LDL and HDL cholesterol. So HDL needs to go up, and it helps to go up, but one of the best ways to get it up is exercising HDL. And then when you do that configuration, which is what they do to give you your, your markers for heart disease, the total cholesterol and so forth will change if our HDL is high. So we want to get that going. All right, next slide. The flavonoids in strawberries, they lower the risk of cardiovascular events. So again, strawberries are very good. There are fruits in Trinidad that can be eaten. So even if you're not able to get strawberries, there are other fruits that will do the same. All right, next slide. Keep going. So phytochemicals, as we're wrapping up, Phytochemicals and spices protect, keep going with the slides because we have words coming up. The next, protects against cardiovascular disease. You have your garlic, your onions, and here's your turmeric or curcumin. That's very helpful for reducing inflammation in the body. That helps to reduce the issue with heart disease. And then ginger, that's another one that people don't really realize how much a great effect ginger has on our stomachs. All right, next slide. Keep going. So they provide protection against heart disease, lowering cholesterol and inhibiting blood clots, reducing the bad quote unquote cholesterol, LDL. Next slide. Power berry. And so I talked about the berries, and I know you get that in Trinidad, these power berries, but this is really a big thing now. A lot of people are, making smoothies where you just blend the blueberries. May not be able to eat them all at one time, but get a cup of them, put them in a smoothie with some milk or maybe just other fruits, and they a good, strong antioxidant effect on our bodies. So it builds our immune system. It helps also with the brain, helping to keep our brain functioning well and cleaning it out. The brain, these blueberries are found to be things that almost like scavengers. They come in and they just get rid of any plaque, and so that can be developed in the brain and also for the heart. So it's very helpful to focus on the blueberries, red berries, and blackberries. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, citrus, and we get a lot of that in Trinidad, decreased risk of cardiovascular by 3 major actions, right? And so they're decreasing the vasodilation. It improves that so that the body's function of the heart is doing well. It decreases the ability of platelets to clot, and it prevents the LDL from oxidizing so that you have the anti-inflammatory properties. So remember your citrus fruits, try to eat them every day, especially if you're eating plant foods. The mixtures of those can be very helpful. Eating foods, again, as synergistic effect. Next slide. All right, for diabetes, so that's another, we talked about cardiovascular disease, heart and with heart issues, and now we're quickly going over into the diabetes issue. Nuts is a big food that can help increase. It has good protein source, and the fat in it is much more simpler and easy to digest. So 1 to 4 times a week is good, but it doesn't work as well as people who eat 4 or 5 times a week. All right, so enjoy your nuts. So as we're closing out, here is the plan for us where fruits are concerned. How much fruits should we take in? 4 servings. So what is a serving? A serving is a half a cup. So half a cup of fruits, or an apple is a serving. If it's a medium-sized apple, you can hold in your hand like that. That's a serving. A banana is a serving. If it's really big, it's 2 servings. So we can get 4 servings very easily. We won't say to eat it at one meal. We divide it up into 2. We prefer people eating 2 meals a day as they get older. So you have 2 servings of fruits in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. That takes care of your amount. Next slide. As we look at the vegetables, as you see, vegetables are supposed to be more. We need to eat more vegetables than fruits in order to maintain good health. So 5 servings. And so you can eat in the morning some type of, melangen with, how you mix that and use it with bake or something like that. That helps. And then you do eat something else in the afternoon that may have some other vegetables. One of the best ways, since it's warm down there and it's you don't want to do a lot of cooking, it's hot, just eat the foods as raw as possible. Just cut them up like we would make that cabbage salad. It's called coleslaw in the US, but you cut up the cabbage, you add your carrots and other vegetables in there, and you can get 2 cups of that will give you all of your 5 servings of a day. If you eat 2 cups of vegetables, that's enough. So you could do it morning and evening, or you can do it at one time. Next slide. So the summary, in summary, whole grains, nuts, spices, legumes, fruits, vegetables, they provide health, promoting and protection against the disease. So the phytochemicals that lower the risk of chronic diseases and ensure optimal health. So my plea and my recommendation as we close is to be a star witness. Get these foods in our body on a regular basis. It doesn't mean that we'll never eat a slice of pizza, but we will not eat as much pizza as we continue on to having our bodies to show that our bodies are temples of the Holy Ghost and that God can live in it, and that we can hear his voice much more clearly as we eat foods that cleans our brain, keep our system moving, drinking the water, natural H2O, God's beverage, I call it, enjoying God's butter, the avocado and those foods, and exercise. We must put that balance in, that we need to exercise, and walking is one of the best. But we find out that we need to put some weight-bearing exercises in. So you may not go to the gym, but when you go to the grocery store and you lift those bags and bring them home, you know, it's another form of exercise. So think of it, the things that you do in your home, to use it as weight-bearing exercises. All right, so I think this is our last slide. So star witnesses, 2,500 years ago, Hippocrates said, let food be your medicine. And today, because of the lifestyle diseases, our medical practitioners are saying, let medicine be your food. And you saw that videotape by Dr. Baxter. We also have individuals in Washington, D.C. It's called PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. They are star witnesses also. They are pushing that whole area of food. And then the last one, Andia. Andia is an organization that's formed out of Loma Linda area. It's called Adventist Nutrition and Dietetic International Association. So we want all of you as students to join. Dr. Mitchell has the information, and we want you to be a part of that as a star witness. All right, so the last one, do you have any questions? The next slide you can show. Next slide, that's the last one. All right.
I have one question when you finish,
Okay.
probably.
Yeah, sure. So the closing out is to be a star witness every day. Be a role model. Food as medicine. Teach it in your practice. And then, of course, we know once you do so, then you will, really be following what God would have us be with Genesis 1:29. Because remember, that diet plan was made for us to live forever. So this is what we want to reduce the diseases and have a healthy quality of life. So thank you so much. And we'll start for questions as we share a star witness.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peterson.
You're welcome. Yes.
I saw you on the slide just now. You spoke about extra virgin olive oil, and then you said versus refined olive oil. What is the difference?
Okay, so what happens in the processing of olive oil? So remember, the olive oil comes from olives. So when you get that extra virgin olive oil, you see how it's greenish looking and it's thick. It has a strong flavor. So that's extra virgin olive oil. And the difference is that olive oil was prepared from a cold compress. So they weren't any olives that fell from the tree. They were handpicked, and the seeds were taken out and used. And that's how it got to be so rich and green and thick. But when you get the refined, which is the regular olive oil that a lot of people use, they use the olives that fell from the tree and they use the seeds. So all of that processing goes into the olive oil, and that's why it looks so thinned out and light color. So it's not that it's bad, it's just not rich in the phytonutrients as the ones that were refined. Refining means that they use the olives as they fall from the tree, and they use the seeds and everything will blend it up into making the olive oil. Where the extra virgin, it's only the fresh olives, and they're handpicked and cold compressed. So it's done in a different fashion. So you have more. It's still 9 calories per gram for serving. It's just the quality is richer. And you don't want to fry with that kind of olive oil because it's so thick it cannot raise to the heating point that you would want frying to use. So you want to put those in salads and in other light cooking food, but not in deep fat frying.
Okay, so it's drizzled after the food is prepared.
Yes, you use it, after. So people
Okay,
need to use that olive oil. That is very good for your tissues. It helps to keep your skin, your cells elastic, smooth and not dried out. So we do need that olive oil, that extra virgin, but we only need it in small amounts and to put on the food, not to fry with it.
Okay, I understand. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions?
Yes, Dr. Peterson, thank you. And we encourage the students, if they have any, to please listen. Dr. Peterson, I have a couple questions for
Sure,
you.
yes.
Let's start with one that you mentioned before. Now, I think I heard you mention in passing that we shouldn't really combine meals with fruit and vegetables in it. I would like you to elaborate on that. And while you're elaborating on that, can you please explain, like, I have been having some challenges, I don't know if others have been, trying to figure out where to put in that fruit because sometimes there's some combinations that nutritionists and dietetics understand, but the regular person might be like, okay, how do I make these meals count if I want to eat fruit up, you see the typical meal on TV, orange juice with breakfast, but then they're cutting up some little vegetable, and then you say, but don't put fruits and vegetables together. So how do we balance that? Can you elaborate for us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, what has happened, I think, in our quest as we were, we studied some of the writings that we have that we are encouraged to read, and I support totally, is that Ellen White had made a statement, and that has come through the church through the long years, is that combination of fruits and vegetables can be a problem, but people forget the statement. There's a full statement. She says, if you have a weak stomach. Okay. So if your stomach cannot handle fruits and vegetables, and in that way, it would be best to separate it. Okay. And so that's one. But secondly, also in science, because food nutrition is a science, some foods with fruits and vegetables have combinations that may cause stomach irritation or upset stomach. So if you're having a meal that has broccoli and cabbage and other cruciferous vegetables that have that gassy reaction, then it can be. So some vegetables shouldn't be eaten together. Some vegetables, you don't want to have all of that in one meal. So if you're going to have broccoli, that's broccoli, but you don't want broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and all of those in one meal, a lot of it. Some people make a mixture called a stir fry. Yes. And so they don't have a problem with it because it's small amounts. Okay. So what happens with individuals, if you know that you put a couple of foods together and you have a kind of a lot of gas after, you say, my combination didn't work too well. So you can make the change. The other thing that helps is to steam the vegetables just a little, because if you eat them totally raw, some people have more gas eating certain vegetables raw. And so they may have to steam it, just pass it through a little bit of heat, because some people prefer trying to eat as raw as possible. So what I suggest with people is to eat their fruits in the morning. The body is easy to digest it, and eat their vegetables in the afternoon. So remember we said, and vegetables in the afternoon. Okay. So you can eat 4 servings of fruits in the morning, an orange, banana, right? That's 2, maybe some grapes and orange, banana, grapes, and maybe some other, a little bit of blueberries. And you can put that together and make a smoothie. Because some people say, oh, it seemed too much at one time. You just blend it in a smoothie and drink that. And that could be your breakfast. And of course, you want to add your protein things to it so that your body can hold the food. Because if you're only eating fruits, you get hungry very quickly if it's only fruits. Right. Another thing that helps is to take the fruit and eat it like a snack. So if you said, well, I'm only going to eat 2 and I'll take 2 with me, you need a snack throughout the day between, if you feel like it, you can have, a little bit of orange juice, or maybe an orange or a tangerine or something that helps to get you the count in. And then your vegetables in the afternoon, like I said, 2 cups of vegetables, when you cut it up, is enough. So you can get your 4 servings. Fantastic. 4 to 5 servings of vegetables. So some days you may not get it all. That is true. I feel hungry after when I eat fruits only. You got to get some protein in there. So if you eat fruits in the morning, you want to add some nuts. A handful of nuts is a good serving. Just put enough to fill your hand. And that's it. Because people measuring it and so forth. Just fill it up in your hand and you put it on your plate. That's it. Or if people, want to eat some other type of source of protein, one of the things that that people like to enjoy, the zabuka or the egg or the avocado, slice that up on a slice of bread or on crackers. That will fill you because it has a good fat in there. So the things that keeps you satisfied is fat and protein, especially fat. If you have food that has fat in it, it will stay in your body longer because fats take longer to digest because their calories are 2.25 times. So if you eat fruits, you're only getting 4 calories per gram. If you eat fat, you're getting 9 calories per gram. And if anybody gets involved with alcohol, it's 7 calories to 11 calories per gram. So there are foods that really give you, that caloric benefit.
Excellent.
All right. Hopefully that answers your question. So just work with your body because, a lot of people now are talking the biogenome and making sure that you have your gut, with the right foods and so forth. And those are things we knew about for years, but we didn't talk about it like that. So now it's coming out in the science is bringing it further. And they are promoting that we eat those foods that help to keep our gut clear, which are the beans and grains. The fats and the meats are also cause problems to our biogenome. And we want to make sure that we have those, the nuts, the beans, lentils, and so forth in our system with the grains, whole grains. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. I'm so glad to welcome Dr. Mitchell. She made it in. Welcome, Dr. Mitchell. You're here this morning. Thank you for coming in.
I hope we didn't stay too long over.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Dr. Peterson, thank you so much. I sent you a note of apologies. I'm so happy to see
okay. We got on okay.
And I thank Miss Fiona and Mr. Legal and Mr. Francis. He has
Mr.
been very helpful.
Yes.
Yes,
he got us in the way that that we couldn't get in before.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So Dr. Mitchell, don't go anywhere. I know you're there. Let's talk a little bit about that. So technology. This week, Dr. Peterson is all about technology and how it's transforming the way careers are being done. Can you talk a little bit about what interfacing you've had with technology, what you're hearing and seeing in the field? I don't know, in terms of how maybe food is processed or even how we communicate about food or the preparation of food. Can you talk a little bit about technology and how it's moving and transforming?
Right. Yes, so we have some things that are happening now as we speak, is that a lot of people tend to eat more. We're not eating at home, but we're coming back home anyway because of COVID, and we're there in our homes longer. But because of the technology, because of what's going on out there in the field, because of the pandemic, with the different ways of how we're going to be able to get our food. So sometimes some of the products can't get there on time, because of not having enough staff. And so we are now looking at food distribution in a different way. In fact, some places, restaurants are not coming up like as often as they are. So we are seeing on the computer or on our TVs, here's how you can get all your food, and they put them in packages for you. I don't know if you've seen it. You want to eat more healthfully, just contact us and give us your information, and they do the shopping for you. They put it in the basket packages and they deliver it at your door, and you just take them out and put them in your refrigerator. So that's one way of how people are now getting, their food or their nutrition. Another way is that actually a person is at home and they cannot get to prepare any food. There is a way that they can call on technology. They can call the restaurant, or they have a company that is now taking people's, their menus or whatever they would like to have prepared for them. They call the restaurant for them, and their food is delivered to their door at lunchtime. And so consumers now are not really getting involved with food preparation like they used to, because they can get it so much easier. So when you sit down and work out the monies that costs for you to go to the grocery store, buy your groceries, come home and cook them, They're putting that out. They're saying we can do it a lot faster for you. So the trend is changing now as to how we consume our food. And now dietitians have a different angle that they have to go to. So we have, for instance, like the different grocery stores, they have dietitians now employed at these grocery stores. And the client comes into the grocery store. They don't go to the shopping, they go to the dietitian and tells them, my doctor says I'm supposed to eat so and so. The dietitian works out their menu plan for them. And then they have someone go and get their groceries. And the client could either stay and wait for it, or they come back and pick it up, or they deliver it. I think what has happened is that they pick up, some people pick up, some people have it delivered. So the frontier changes is that food is now going to be delivered. So we're still talking about eating healthy and even more healthier than in the past, but it's not going to be only on the consumer end. It's going to be on the delivery end. So delivering of food to us is going to be changing. And we found out also, I found out some new research that's being done, is that some of these restaurants are going to close down and they're going to use their restaurant as a storage place. And when you come to the restaurant, you're just coming to pick up your food. There's no more too much sitting down and interacting with each other. Some of those places will remain, but a lot of them, it will be more delivery or pickup service. Then you have these different Uber companies, these traveling companies, drivers, they hire people to go and get your food for you, get your other things. So the technology is changing in that. So that's one part. But then there's another part of technology that is changing faster than any other, is that the food that we're supposed to consume is now being prepared in a lot of different ways. So we don't get the potato is no longer like you pick up your potatoes, you'll get the potato chips, which is new, but you get dried potatoes or you get them in pill form. There are a lot of doctors now, believe it or not, they have gotten into looking at food as medicine. And what they're doing is developing all of these phytonutrients and putting them in pills. And then they're ordering them for their patients. They have their meetings, and these are doctors are doing it. They're not going with the traditional pharmacy medicine. They're designing their own based on experience and research, and then they're giving that to their patients. So when their patients come in, they are giving them pills, but not the kinds of pills that were done by the pharmaceutical company. These are now being manufactured by businesses, and you have these Shark Tank is one of those big entrepreneurial programs that a lot of people are getting involved with, where they're actually making juices for you to help reduce inflammation in your body, and you can pick them up at certain places. The doctors then are putting them in pills because people are used to taking pills to take care of them, right? When they go to the doctor, they say, take this pill. So here now they're saying, we're going to give you this pill, but it's full of phytonutrients. So even if you don't eat the healthy food or can't get it, take this pill and you'll be okay. So yeah, so the frontier of the line, things are changing of how we service our patients and service people in the community. And now one of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, that's the largest profession in the foods and nutrition industry. They are now starting out a training session on how you can do retail, how the dietitian needs to learn about how the retail of food is going to change, our industry. And so a lot is happening out there with the technology, I think, is driving the issue one, and health and the people's support for health, because they realize the regular pills, pharmaceuticals are not doing it. So, but we have the pharmacy that God has given us. I have a whole PowerPoint on that, pharmacy, God's pharmacy, and how the foods that God put for us is there for us for our health. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Some of the frontiers of, and then training. So we're hoping now that people are going to be trained in culinary science. That's going to be a big area of training.
So does the area of nutrition and dietetics cover food technology?
Yes, yep, that's part of it. Food technology, food, retail industry, all of that is, if you're going into the technology, that is where the business end of it is. Yeah, the food technology, food service management, and all of those things are involved with that. Because in running a restaurant, in fact, in the dietetic field, the groups that make the most money, who reimburse the food technology one area, but it's also the management. So if you're running a restaurant or know how to run a restaurant or so, and you're hired under that, a food service manager, whether it's in a hospital or in a restaurant, will make more money than the dietitian, the clinical dietitian, who is supposed to be helping the patient get better. They are okay, they get a decent salary, but if they move into the food area, food technology or food science or food management, then they tend to be the ones that are making the money, and they run the whole series, a whole area of the hospital that deals with food service. They're in charge of of the operation, and so therefore they make the higher pay. So if people want to get into food, before people used to say, oh, I don't want to be a cook. Listen, a cook can make some good money, if they take it a little bit further besides just cooking, but managing how the food is prepared and so forth. Yeah.
Excellent. So how would you be able to encourage the students who may have logged on this morning, nutrition and dietetics?
You're right. So I would like students, as they get into the dietetic field, to be very open. Don't get so tied into the clinical aspect of dietetics, but be open to public health and open to the food aspect of it. A lot of dietitians don't want to cook. I don't want to take that food class. I'm a dietitian. I don't cook. They need to learn all of the aspects of the field. And cooking, Ellen White says, cooking is no mean science, And so now, like I said, instead of calling it culinary arts, it's called culinary science. So, give them some courses in culinary science. Culinary science is where you're taking the food and learning how that food can change and make you more healthfully. Whereas culinary arts was you would cook the food and have the people eat it. Nobody wanted to find out how many calories it was. Nobody was interested in the phytonutrient, but now they are. So you want to learn culinary science. And I just developed a minor at Morgan State University in culinary science, which means that the courses that they take will be able to help patients who have these diseases if they study the science and learn how to take care of their body by a scientific understanding, not just, the taste, but by how the food is prepared and what it contains to help them stay healthy. So turmeric is a big area of study and research. So we're hoping that you all will do some things down there, because I think you have the turmeric in the fresh turmeric that you can get it. But that would be very helpful, because that is a particular food that, if it's taken on a daily basis, reduces inflammation in the body. Because remember, disease begins with inflammation. It's okay to have some, but when it starts getting out of whack, then if you're having too much inflammation. The turmeric is an anti-inflammatory food. It helps to reduce inflammation out of the body. Cabbage and those things will reduce inflammation. And so that's what students will learn in the culinary science. They will learn, why am I eating cabbage, or why am I making cabbage in this particular meal? It's because a certain amount of this cabbage will reduce my inflammation by such and such a percentage if I eat it on a regular basis.
Fantastic. One other question I have, and then I can hand it over to Dr. Mitchell if there are no other questions. Dr. Peterson, how would you advise, in terms of some of the same nutrition and dietetics students, in terms of general health or food preparation or food combinations, how can they help in the general knowledge of, the regular public? I mean, would you suggest that they can probably have sessions from time to time with persons, probably have a blog? Would you suggest that nutrition and dietetics practitioners have a role to play in educating persons in terms of good health practices and food combinations?
Right. Yeah, I agree with the idea of dietitians. Dietitian is not just a profession. I feel like it is a calling or a ministry, and I call it the food ministry. So if I move into a community, and I've done that in different places, is that I first look for the library or the place where people go to learn and so forth. And I would contact the library, now that COVID is in, but just to give you my history is that I would go to them and said, listen, I'm a registered dietitian and I want to help improve this community. Could I come and offer some free classes to the public? And they would say, of course, and the people would come and we would share information, do cooking demonstration. But now we're not doing that. So what I have told my dean and my president at Morgan is that I want to start reaching the people through how we can meet them. And that's the Zoom, right? Right now I'm talking to you through Zoom. So we have designed classes now on Zoom for the public. And they can just click on in the Zoom on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and they will get information on different areas. So we started off in the fall, we designed 8 sessions. And so the interns, dietitian interns to be, would click in on it and learn. And it's all plant-based. So we're following God's principles and being a star witness. And my university, even, they're not particularly a Christian university, it's a state university. They don't have any problem with me sharing information through the biblical perspective. So we had diabetes, a 3D course, how to defeat diabetes with diet for the public. And the faculty were involved in the teaching. We had doctors who came in 1-hour sessions. We had interns who helped us with demonstrations. So now we are not able to get into the library because most of them are closed, but we can get into Zoom. So we just designed, so that one course was in the fall. So now this spring, we just finished one on Tuesday, 2 days ago. It was called Guard Your Heart. And that's why I had those slides up to share with you earlier. So Guard Your Heart, we had about 5 physicians who talked about it through plant-based diet. And this summer, we're going to have one on cancer. And really next month, we're having one dealing with stress. So what we're looking at is the focus for each month or so. So students can get involved with their professors as they learn how to share helpful information to the community. Now, is church open there, or are you all back to church? Because church is another great way.
Yes,
church,
just reopened.
Right. If church is just reopened, then you should have, one of the things that I say, because we don't like to do too much, at the church, because sometimes people think we're trying to make them into vegetarians. No, we're not doing that. But I think that once a month, we want to share some helpful information about just how to take care of your health. So you can focus it, the sharing of information can be focused on how the world looks at different months. So February was Guard Your Heart month. It's dealing with heart disease. You have different months with different areas. So students can share little blurbs or so at churches during the months as we go back to church to help with our church community. And we can then help with our regular community through the schools and have information shared through the schools. But the Zoom is the best one. And the media, you have social media, those blogs and all of, the social media. I'm teaching also, helping with Oakwood University, the graduate course, and they are teaching they're teaching about cancer through social media, one of her projects, her practicum, and it's being done through Instagram. And she has clients that she talks to and get all her information. And the program that we just finished with Guard Your Heart is we had a pre-test and a post-test. So we're gonna write up a whole, research paper on the findings of how the individuals, we had about 20 people coming, how they changed their diet and lifestyle based on blood pressure information and so forth. So we have the technology now. It's just we need the creativity, and it's a little bit more work, but in the long run, it's more satisfying. So I didn't have to take a plane to get down to Trinidad to meet you and to talk with you. So we're right here. I'll be going up to the office in the afternoon at Morgan, but we're sharing information. So I think we thank God for the technology and for the people. So another thing is that students can get involved with is they can learn how to use the technology. So like on their cell phone, you can do something and send it to your friends, and say, okay, are you trying to lose weight or so? Here's a tip for the day, on the phone. So you have it right at hand now. It's just a matter of asking God. And that's how I go. I ask God, show me how to share, and each and every day. And he does as we reach out. As we go to the grocery store, take it with us. It's, as I said, it's not a profession, it's a ministry, it's a calling. And if you do that, you take it wherever you go and you can share what God wants you to do from day to day. So I hope this was helpful, as we look for
new ways.
New ways, the frontiers, and some things still have not been shared yet. So there's still more to learn. Yeah. So thank you for your time and the opportunity. And I had another student who was going to come with me, and she is from Trinidad. And just want to give you a quick story about how God has blessed her. We've been mentoring her, working with her, and she finally got up to the New Jersey area. And believe it or not, there was an opening on a position, and she asked me, how much should I ask, for my salary? And I said, 75,000. And she said, you sure? And she did, and she's got it. She had her master's, and she did her work at USC, did her master's at Andrews, and so now she's working in the public health, finishing up her RD. So, we have some star witnesses that are out there. So for students who are there, you can be a star witness. Start asking God to show you how, and keep your grades up. So that's my other point at the end. People don't know you, but when they see your GPA and they see your grades, they say, this person is serious about their profession. So, and I know Dr. Mitchell encourages that all the time. Do the best in each course that you take and ask God to show you how this can work. It may not seem like it is relevant, but it is in the long run as you put it together. So thank you again, and God's blessings on everyone. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I look forward. I mean, I have not interacted very closely yet with family and consumer sciences, but we're going to change that, Dr. Mitchell. She and I have a meeting the next month. She and I have spoken about that, so we'll be talking. But before I end and hand it over to Dr. Mitchell, it's great. I look forward to hearing more from the students, and I want to see some free classes at USC, and seeing the students, get involved in part of the education wherever they can, to educate us on better ways of, food preparation, how we manage our diet, and how we take care of our health in general. So I thank you, especially from the way we handle our food. So Dr. Peterson, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to hand you over to Dr. Mitchell now, who will lead us into the end of the session. Dr. Mitchell?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vigol, and I want to give special thanks to Dr. Peterson. Your presentation and your assistance and support for the University of the Southern Caribbean has always been appreciated. Additionally, I have to talk to you because I do have some plans to get you down here. So
good.
Caribbean Airlines start back flying. Okay.
Oh, they are? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that I can come. I love I love my we call it BWE. It used to be.
So right now I am glad for all the information Dr. Peterson shared, and specifically talking about the new frontiers in the field of nutrition and dietetics. We are looking also at combinations here, whereby I'm encouraging students to take not just the BS in nutrition and dietetics, but also they can do a minor in computer science, because I think they can get in easily into fields. They can go into health informatics. Some hospitals now, they are hiring those type of persons. I'm also encouraging them to expand in the field of food science. And I'm so glad Dr. Peterson talked about that. And I know she is also a very much an experienced entrepreneur. So
entrepreneur.
Yes. So she's an experienced entrepreneur. She operated a restaurant for many, many years. And,
I shared that with them.
Yes. So I am very happy.
And then having your own private practice. I had my own private practice for 25 years. Yeah. You make a lot of money. That's another way you make money, is private practice. Yes.
Excellent. So what will happen going forward is that I like the ideas in terms of how reaching out through the Zoom format. And we did that at the start of Zoom. Dr. Peterson was one of our speakers when we had our community nutrition webinars. So that was to get the student their practicum hours. So we will continue that, and of that now would be in reaching the wider community just if we can't do once a week, we will do once every 2 weeks. But the main goal is to get it started. So thanks again, Dr. Peterson. You have always continued. She serves as adjunct faculty. So it's not just because she's at Morgan, she's still an adjunct faculty for USC. So with that being said, we would like to move a vote of thanks, specifically with for your time, for your expertise, for the knowledge shared, as well as also continuing to open that way for USC students to move forward. That is very, very, I would say, way beyond when you yourself and Dr. Peterson came down here in the early 2000s. So we really appreciate that. But as I mentioned, I do have some plans for you. So don't worry. I am going to talk with them because to try to get you down here. So yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's no problem. The summertime is better. The summertime is
summertime better.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So we will have a chat about that.
Okay, sure.
So that would be wonderful.
Yes. Yeah,
so
we look forward to meet you all. Like, thank you, Ms. Sherry Lynn. Yes, it's very good.
Yes, very nice to see you, Dr. Peterson.
She has a nice presence about her. So.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind.
Yeah, what do you do?
I am the interim dean of the School of Business, responsible for this business and career week. So I was popping into the session to see how things are doing. Okay.
I was wondering. Okay.
Yes.
So we need to combine. Dr. Mitchell, we need to combine a program with business and nutrition. It's called food service management.
Excellent.
That's right.
Yes, food service management. It's a big thing in the US. You have a degree in food service management. Yeah, you make a lot of money. I mean, because the students always, the reason why I say that is not just the money, but that's what the students say, well, how will I get paid? Will I get paid decently? Yep, you get paid. So put it together. I'm trying to do that right. In fact, right now, I have at Morgan State, I work with the business area. And this fall, they will begin in hospitality management. They have a minor in culinary science. So so they get a minor. So we're starting off with a minor because the state, you have to get a lot of approval for a full program. So a lot of these folks are finishing in hospitality management that they don't know how to cook. They don't even know anything in the kitchen. So we suggested that they add this. So this will be starting this fall. Pastry and baking and culinary arts for health. You know, those are the courses that will be added into their program. And so they will have a minor in nutritional science or nutritional arts / health. So that would be coming in. We're working on sports. So there's another angle, sports nutrition. That's another angle that's big time now in sports, because the sports people know that if they eat more fruits and vegetables, their performance is greater than eating meat. So you have to have people now who can help share that information with them.
Fantastic. Well, Dr. Peterson, we got to run. We have to get online to another session. So we will definitely talk. I'll be in touch with Dr. Mitchell and we will make some linkages and certainly we'll go forward. So we just want to say a prayer for God to continue to bless you and continue to be with us as we end this session this morning. Dear Lord, thank you so much again for Dr. Peterson and the time that she took this morning to be with us. Thank you for blessing her with the expertise and the knowledge and the skill set that she has acquired over the years, and for the fantastic work that she has been doing in various parts of the globe. We thank you very much for her, and we continue to pray a continued blessing on the works of her hands. We thank you for Dr. Mitchell and the extensive work she has been doing to forge the dietetics and nutrition program here at USC, and the stride she has made. Continue to bless her and the works of her hands. Continue to bless the students of this program. Continue to bless us as we go forward to end this week, and may you continue to be with us in a special way, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that it worked out.
Yes. Bless
everyone.
Yes. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
God answers prayer. Yes.
Thanks again.
All right. Thank you. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Nice. Bye-bye.